Is it right you nearly died?
I wouldn't say that. Obviously, this was my last fight. Actually, I fought Jose Aldo. He was like one of the greatest featherweights of all time in Brazil. And just after the fight, I ended up just getting like cellulitis in the leg, and it just through the travel on my way home, it just it got a little worse. I just thought it was just an injury from the fight and swelling, and from
But you end up in hospital?
And I did end up in hospital, and I was in Chile hospital for like 5 days. But once it started, the infection went down a little. I was able to go home. I was just really happy to get home to my family. I just after a big fight, that's all I wanted to do, go home and see the family, and had to wait a little bit longer, but. It wasn't too bad, but luckily I got on top of it early. So if I did try and get that next stint all the way to Australia, it probably could have been a lot worse.
Oof, yeah. I used to know a little Costa Zhu, the world champion boxer, world title holder. And I loved him. And I once said to him, why do you do it? And he said, money, probably. But there's not a lot of money in UFC, is there?
Yeah, well, it just depends, Still,
why do you do it? That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I just, it's just something. It's been a sport that I've always loved. I'm pretty competitive. I used to, as you said, I used to play like rugby league and stuff like that. So I've always loved like a contact sort of sport. But it's just always been a dream of mine, and I really do love it. It's there's so many disciplines in there. MMA, mixed martial arts. So it's even the jiu-jitsu and all that sort of stuff, wrestling and everything that's involved. There's just so much to learn, and I love that, and I'm all about learning, and I'm learning every day, and I really do love the sport.
What's the worst pain you've suffered when you're fighting?
Worst pain that I've suffered? Probably cellulitis when I got that, but that wasn't from the fight. But
yeah, what about during a fight? I see someone like, geez, how do you get up after that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess the adrenaline rush does help a lot, but it's just. Yeah, it's just that, again, man, I used to play rugby league, and I probably got injured a lot more playing rugby league than I did fighting, to be quite honest.
And were you about 30 kilos heavier when you're playing rugby league?
Yeah, I was. So I had a lot of extra padding. So, and I still got injured a fair bit. But just through dieting and just, training hard and stuff like that, and just a bit of discipline. So that's obviously, discipline goes a long way in this sport through training and dieting and stuff like that.
Do you ever, I know you're professional, but do you ever have a sense of fear about what you're doing?
No, I don't. I know sometimes people can look at it and think it's, obviously rough, obviously, you're fighting sort of in there, but at the same time, you know what I mean? It's, again, like I thought, I watch rugby league, and I still got mates that play rugby league, and I watch that, and I just see them running at the big boys, and because I'm so scared of getting injured now, I literally watch them, and I'm like, oh man, I couldn't do that anymore. But I know it's weird. It's still a lot more control, I think, in there for me. I don't know if it's, I guess I haven't been hit too many times, maybe. I don't know. So it's just, it
just sounds so horrible, doesn't it? You effectively, well, you've got a closed area, and what can you not do to somebody? What are the rules? Because you seem to be able to do just about anything. What can't you do? Yeah,
no, there's actually a lot you can't do. So obviously, like headbutting and stuff like. There's certain angles of elbows, because obviously you can cut people pretty bad. Low blows, and there's a lot of dangerous submissions, like sort of cranks and that aren't allowed, and spiking and things like that. So there's still a lot of rules. A lot of things. Obviously, no biting and eye gouging and things like that.
Oh, we've had a few problems. But okay. If your opponent's standing, can you kick them in the head?
If they're standing, yeah, you can, kickbox. Once they go down, or if they got a hand down or a knee down and things like that, you can't.
Well, if they're down, are you allowed to put a knee into the back of their neck or something like that?
No.
So what can you do if they're on the ground?
You can still ground and pound, we'll call it. So you can still punch and submissions and stuff like that. But again, you can't do knees and kicks and stuff like that.
And does everybody follow that pretty well?
Yeah. Well, everyone's because obviously if you do bad, you could literally get disqualified and lose the fight straight away. If you accidentally done something, you might get a warning. But if it's blatantly and a big kick to a ground opponent or something like that, they'll take the fight, finish it there. And
do you ever feel concerned or guilty about hurting somebody in a fight?
Man, obviously I'm not in there to hurt people. Obviously you got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, there's fights where, I want the ref to stop it, because I don't want to, keep hitting the guy. I find myself a pretty respectful and a chilled type of guy. But obviously the sport, sometimes things you need to be done to win. But again, like in most sports, you're looking to, say rugby league or whatever it is, you're looking to put on a big shot, get them to drop the ball or what it is. Like, and if someone gets hurt, obviously it's not really something that you want to happen. If I can go out there, get a victory and not hurt my opponent, that's good.
When you're playing rugby league, do you ever get any fights?
Playing rugby league? We used to get pretty rough, I guess, here and there.
What about when you were growing up? Did you fight as a kid? On the streets or, around the schoolyard?
Just like any kid. Again, I pride myself on being a pretty respectful and I actually pride myself on being like a nice type of guy. I'm a family man, so I've never really been the type to start fights or anything like that. But obviously being young, the trouble will find you sometimes and you will be caught in situations. But, I'm never looking for trouble, especially
you're
now.
You're not a thug.
Yeah, exactly. So ever since I started training as well, that actually the discipline got a lot. Yeah. Well, you're taught from early days in the gym that you can't come in here if you're going to be like that. So I've seen a lot of like thugs come into like MMA or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, and I've seen them change so much because it's all about respect and discipline and things like that. And you really do see people change. And I've seen like guys that I get along with well. I remember first seeing them coming in, and they were totally different to who they are now. Very respectful people, and it's just funny to see people change. A lot of people wouldn't expect that, but we do
see some of the big names behave like idiots. I mean, is that part of the sort of PR effort to get attention, or are some of them a bit stupid? I mean, throwing things at buses.
Yeah, it's a crazy sort of world we live in now. Obviously, putting bums on seats, as they say, and stuff like that. I know, like I said, I pride myself on being a respectful, nice guy.
But I mean, we've even had a couple of domestic violence incidents with some of the fighters.
Oh, yeah, well, that's obviously, I don't like these types of guys and stuff like that. You get them in all sports.
You got 2 daughters. How old are they?
Yeah, I got 2 and 4, so almost 4. So yeah.
Do they watch you?
No, I wouldn't say they watch me, but they know sort of what I do. But
would you be happy for them to be UFC fighters?
I don't know. Yeah, well, honestly, I've had nothing but great experiences in this. I really do believe that it's a really, again, when I talk about discipline and stuff, it's all about respect and obviously lifestyle change. Like again, I used to be a lot heavier and eating wrong.
But you weren't fat though.
Yeah. But, it's just, again, I really, really wouldn't mind it. Like, I honestly don't mind. Like, I would let them come in and do some jiu-jitsu nice and early. And obviously, I wouldn't talk them into it. I'll let them do whatever they wanted
to. They want their daughters.
Yeah.
What do you do to train? How often? Well, you train every day, obviously.
Yeah, I train every day, anywhere from 3 to 4 sessions a day.
What do you do? Belt up carcasses of meat or something?
Well, that's what you see in the movies, don't you? No, it's not like that. So obviously, a lot of it, especially nowadays, it's very, very professional. This sport's gone very professional. So we do, obviously, again, it's MMA, mixed martial arts. So you're doing wrestling, jiu-jitsu, then you're doing kickboxing and things like that. Then you've got to do your strength and conditioning and all that sort of stuff. So, it's, again, it's, well, another thing, like when I'm talking about playing like rugby league and stuff, like you're playing every weekend and, that can get pretty rough where, fighting, 3 times a year, I guess it's not too bad. Obviously, training's very hard, but I mean, you're always wearing your headgear and you're not in the gym to hurt each other and stuff like that. But yeah, it's
the Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews called on UFC not to use the so-called octagon girls because they objectified women, turned them into sexual objects. What do you think? I mean, I thought that was ridiculous, frankly. What did you think about that?
Yeah, well, it's just again, it's a sort of a funny like world we live in and stuff like that, and it's just I don't really look at it that way. Of these girls, that's not only what they do; they're actually again we us as fighters, fighting's not really enough. We look at it as building your brand and things like that. Obviously, we're only in this sport for a short amount of time, and if I'm going to be UFC champion, I want as many people to know me. I want to build my brand and then have a future as well outside of fighting. And there's so many ways you can build your brand, right? And I believe that.
Geez, you've done well. You're like a politician. You totally deflected that question.
But even it's the same with these, like ring girls, like they're probably doing a promotional work right now, like meet and greets and things like that. And there's even a couple of them that have been there from day one, and they're absolute superstars.
I've talked to a couple of them. They don't think it's demeaning. Do you?
What's that? Sorry?
They don't think it's demeaning, the girls.
Yeah, well, exactly right. So again, it's obviously if they thought that they wouldn't be doing it again, but I just think that it's the same as us being in us being men. and being in the octagon cage fighting, and people could be like, is that objectifying men, as in just chucking us in a cage, what men are supposed to, I don't know,
Leave them in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good to meet you. I know you're not fighting at the weekend, but you'll be there. Thanks for coming in.
No worries, thank you.
All the best. Alex Volkanovski